Hi, I'm Tony Thorpe from the Moody Boys, and you're watching Luke TV. Hello, my name's Tony Thorpe, and I've been making music since 1984. I started in a band called 400 Blows, and my first single was a 12-inch called Declaration of Intent, which I produced with a guy called the Mad Professor, which was a fantastic experience to work with one of my favourite heroes. We made about 6, 7, 8, 12 inches, I think it was 2 albums, which was really an interesting learning process for me, because at the time we weren't using computers. We were just doing things on 2-inch reel, getting musicians in, playing bits of bass and guitars and tape loops, making sort of noise by any means necessary. We started a compilation series called Funky Alternatives, and at the time I was listening to a John Peel show, and I heard this track called Don't Take 5, Take What You Want, which is by the Jams, who later were the KLF. I approached them to license their track for our Funky Alternatives compilation. They gave us the parts, we did a remix, and I remember playing it to Jimmy Corti and Bill Drummond. Played it to them in the studio, and they basically told me it was a load of crap, which I was totally incensed and outraged that they could actually say that something I've done was rubbish. And for some reason after that, we just became friends, and I kind of became an in-house kind of remixer and beat maker, really. I did a remix for them, a track called Carly Said to Jason, which they really enjoyed and really liked, and they just invited me to come on board to work on, they're working on beats and doing remixes for them, which was like, a really great experience, really. My first Moody Boys track was a track called Boogie Woogie Music, which came out in 1987, which came out on my own label, which was called BPM at the time. After that, I signed to a company called City Beat Records that later became XL, where I released Acid Rapping and Funky Zulu and First National Rapper. Did an album called Journeys into Dubland with Jimmy Corti, who was engineering it, down at his Trans Central studio in Stockwell. God, that took us about 12 days to make, I think it was. Did it on 12-track recorder, old school, I made the track Funky Zulu after watching the film Zulu. That was a great inspiration for me to make that track, basically. So I basically just got loads of samples, African Mbata, loads of rare groove stuff, chopping stuff up, and just made a collage, really, of sounds, really. With the bass, I was basically messing about with the S1000, found a tone on it, and used that as the bass line for the Funky Zulu track. At the time, not everybody was using the tones, because not everybody had an S1000. So I was quite early with getting that sonic out, really, and it sounded amazing in the clubs, and everybody used to ask me, how did you get that bass sound, how did you get that bass sound? And I didn't tell anybody, really, so I just kept it to myself. I've always been interested in different sounds. In 400 Blows, we were manipulating sound and grooves. With the Moody Boys, I wanted to explore the realms of reggae and dub and bring in techno and African and different influences into it. So I've always had a very experimental mind when it came to my music, really. Well, I run a small dubstep label called Studio Rockers, so I'm constantly giving producers advices about their productions and how to make their music better. I tend to find that when I'm making my own music, I find it very difficult, really, to please myself. I just find it easier to work with other people's music, really, and have an objective outlook to what they're doing, really. My main advice to them really is to basically dig deep, try to be open-minded, try to listen to other things. I mean, especially with technology now and the internet, I had to go out and find records and look for things and listen to things like the John Peel show and stuff like that to hear new stuff, where now with the internet you can hear stuff whenever you want, So I would tell producers to really open up their musical juices, really, and listen to other stuff and listen to their dad's records collections and just try to get the influences wherever you can, you know. Just try to be original, really. I mean, there's no point just, you know, using the same preset that everybody else is using. There's no point just using the same beats that everybody else is using. It's always best to at least try your best to do something original, you know? Well, as I said, these days I'm running a label called Studio Rockers, a dubstep label. So I spend a lot of my time, you know, coaching some of the producers on the label, basically. Obviously, I do remixes. I've just done a remix for Holly Cook, which is getting a lot of love at the moment. Been doing some library music with this company called Boozy and Hawks, with this project called Global Stepping, which is a mixture of world music with grime, dubstep, you know, D&B, techno, which will be coming out this year.